everybody, I am so excited to be able to bring you guys this video today. The only reason I can is because I passed my NCLEX. I took my NCLEX last Tuesday, so coming up on a week now. Today I want to tell you guys about my experience, and then I'm going to make a separate video on how to study for the NCLEX and the tools I used. So, what to expect on NCLEX day. So, you're going to sign up, you're going to get your ATT, and then you're going to sign up on pearsonview.com. Or something like that. Pearson View, NCLEX, type that in, it'll take you there. I'll have it linked below. So, it'll take you there, and you're going to sign up for day in a test center around you. I had originally signed up for the Thursday, July 28th, but then I bumped it back 2 days because I was just overstudying. I did not want to study anymore. I didn't know how it was going to go, but I really didn't feel like I could learn that much more in the 2 days that was in between. So I just decided to move up my test date and go for it. So you're going to sign up for your test date on pearsonview.com, and then when your test date comes, let's see, you either have, I think, 8 o'clock or 1 or 2 o'clock sign up time. I had heard some people on YouTube saying that when they got there early, so they just decided to go in and relax, but it turns out that they actually admit people early. So I drove up to the testing center, which was only about a half hour away, about 3 hours early. I got myself some lunch after I drove over to the testing center and found out where it was. I drove back, and not back to my house, but just down into the parking lot area by local Vons or whatever, and I got myself a sandwich at Which Wich. And it was my birthday sandwich, so it was free, and that was great. And then I decided that I had 2 hours. I thought maybe I would go get my nails done, but then at the same time I was like, you know what? Nothing's going to change in these next 2 hours. Let's go see if they have a spot for me. And so I went and got there. I had my water bottle, I had a small bag of trail mix, and my ID, my wallet, and my cell phone. I left my cell phone in the car, and then I brought up all those other things with me up to the testing center. I expected it to be like a big Pearson View building, but it wasn't. It was this big office building that just had like one little tiny Pearson office down one of the indoor hallways, and there was no sign on the door really, it just said Pearson office. And so I walked in and I was like, hi, and the lady's like, hi. I was like, hi, I'm here early, and I was wondering if there was any spot for me to start my exam early. So she asked what I was there for. She asked the guy who was watching everybody, oh, John, is there anybody there, like, early, any space? And he's like, oh, yeah, there's only like 2 people in the room. And so it was perfect. I filled out some paperwork, read some rules, and then I walked up to the counter, gave the lady my rule sheet, said I understood them, and then she did 3 things. She took my Fitbit and she put it in a sealed bag. Any kind of electronics you have are going to go in this sealed bag that you're going to, it's like tamper-proof bag that you're going to put in your locker, and then at the end they'll open it up for you to make sure you didn't tamper with your cell phone or anything. And they're going to do a palm scan, which I thought was going to be like this really cool, like kind of Star Trek kind of thing where you like put your hand on it. It was like, ooh. No, it was just like, it's like this little gray box that you just like stuck your hand on, and apparently took my palm scan. Right and left, which so it was like the hokey pokey. Left hand, right hand, left hand, right hand, right hand. It was something funny like that. So we did the palm scan, which wasn't that exciting, which I thought it was going to be, and then she took a picture of me. I put my stuff in my locker, and I had my key. It was like a little tiny key on a big, long black stick thing. I chose locker number 16 because that's my favorite. So I put my stuff in the locker. I recommend that if you guys have things like cell phones or wallets or things you're not going to need to access, maybe during a break during the exam, you guys just put those to the back of your locker. It was big. It was a big locker, enough room for a jacket. And then if you have like water or trail mix or snacks, you put them in the front, so then they don't have to like quite watch you as much, you know, so you're not like wrestling around with your tamper-proof thing to get to your snacks behind it. Another thing you need to be aware of is that if you wear a jacket or a cardigan to the exam, that you can wear it into the exam. You can't have anything in the pockets, and then if you want to take it off, if you get hot during the exam, you have to raise your hand and go outside to take it off like you're going on a break. You can't just take it off and put it over the back of your chair. So just be aware of that. I wore a long sleeve t-shirt because I get cold easily, and I knew I wasn't going to be moving for whoever knows how long it was going to be, between 1 to 6 hours I assumed. And so I just wore a long sleeve t-shirt and I was really comfortable. So I had my papers, I walked around the corner, and it was like we were in like this little glass area with like a big glass window in front of us, but you could see the testing room. There was, I would say, probably 15 computers inside. It was just really blank, plain room, fluorescent lighting, no windows, no nothing to distract you. They had cameras up above to watch you, and the proctor sits behind that glass. And so when I got up there, we took another pump scan, identified myself with my ID, and then I was just my locker key and my ID at that point. You also get, it's a whiteboard. It's actually just like a laminated piece of paper, like grid paper. It's pretty long. It's longer than your typical 8.5 by 11. And then you also get like, it's not a whiteboard marker, it's like an overhead projector marker that doesn't erase. So if you make a mistake, you just have to cross it out. Anyway, you get one of those too when you go into the room. So on your desk you have your like laminated sheet of paper for you to do your math and take notes on. I went into the room really quietly. He brought me over to my computer, had it all set up, and then I sat down. I adjusted the chair because it was up a little bit high. It says don't adjust the screen, but I adjusted the chair, so I went a little bit lower. And then I just like centered myself, and then I was ready to go. So it starts off by giving you some prompts. It says, these are the rules. Don't you dare take any of these questions out or discuss any of the information outside of this room. And then it took us through some practice tests. And not the practice tests, they were practice questions, and they were really silly. It was, at one point I was just like, A, these aren't scored, and B, this is being added to my time, so why am I actually answering these questions? I started clicking next, 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 and you know, they're not scored. It doesn't say it's right or wrong, it just moves on. And then I started the exam. And the first question on the exam, I looked at it and I go, oh my gosh, I have no idea what the answer is. Well, okay, it's not B and it's not D, so it's A or C. But really, I have no idea which one it is. I like thought a little bit about my Kaplan tree, and that didn't help me. And then I thought a little bit about the outcomes of each of them. Like, if we did one thing, what would it do? If we did another thing, what would it do? It just did not help me. So I picked an answer, and then when I was done, I remembered what it was, and I looked it up, and the answer I picked was wrong. But that's okay, because I still passed the test. So I went on my merry way answering questions. I kept track of all the select all apply questions that I had. I just made little tally marks on that paper, and I went through and I just started answering questions. And my method, what really works for me, and I discovered this through Kaplan and just through nursing school in general, is I read the question, I make sure I understand what the question's asking, I look at the answers, I pick the best answer, I look at the question again, answers again, and I don't overthink it. I take that first choice, and if I still think it's the best choice after reading it, I take that answer and I press next. I'm not going to spend time thinking about, well, it could be that one or it could be that one. I know it's not those two. I go with my gut feeling, and I knew that's what worked for me. So I went through and I answering these questions, and there are some questions that I knew I should have known the answer to, like that I probably studied during Kaplan but didn't commit those things to memory. They were pretty simple things too that would have been pretty easy to do, but I just hadn't, so I just made my best educated guess using my tree a little bit. The Kaplan tree didn't work for me very much. I'll talk about that in my next video. But I went through and I answered the questions the best I could, and when I got to the 70s, like when I got to 70, I was like, there's no way this thing's stopping at 75. I feel like I'm doing so bad. I had only gotten 6 select all that apply questions, and my friends who had gone before me, who hadn't got their test results yet, but they got like 20 to 30 select all apply questions, and they only got 75 questions each. So by the time I got to 70 and I only had like 5 select all the apply questions, I was like, there's no way this is stopping. I feel like I'm doing terrible. A couple of the times I let myself slip into that mindset of, oh gosh, do you think this answer is harder, or do you think this answer is easier, or question is harder or easier? And then I just really tried to kick back and focus and think about, that's not what this is about. I feel like all these questions are hard. I don't really feel like any of these are below the line, so I'm probably doing okay. I think I probably knew the answer to 3 questions out of, I'm going to say, 96 questions. So here's what happened. I passed 75, went on to 76, expected that, figured that was going to happen. So I decided, okay, I'm gonna move on. I don't know when this is going to stop, but I hope it stops before 265. So I trudged along, I was doing my questions, and then I got to about number 90, and I was like, okay, I've been here for about an hour and a half, and so let's take a break at 100, and then I'll like try and go out and take some, drink some water, maybe take a bathroom break, and then you know, just trying to assess my situation, and then go back in and hit it hard again, start with those next questions. So somewhere between 94 and 100, the screen went blue. And the screen goes blue in 2 cases. The screen goes blue when you either finish the exam and the computer decides you've finished the exam, you've either passed or failed, or it goes blue when you hit 2 hours and you have your first scheduled break. So it went blue because I had finished the exam. And honestly, at that point, I was just so happy that I wasn't going to have to answer any more questions, because I found out that after about 120 questions, especially practicing on Kaplan, my mind just starts going a little bit and then I kind of fall out of that rhythm that I have of like confidently reading and answering questions. So I hit about 96 or 97 questions. Like I said, I don't know exactly what, because I wasn't really paying attention. And my screen went blue and it was over. And when you want to get up for a break, or if you're done with your exam or you need something else, you have to raise your hand. So I was facing my computer, just sitting there, and I raised my hand and figured somebody would come over, and nobody was coming over, and I was like, okay. So I turned around and there's like no proctor sitting in the seat behind the glass, and I'm like, okay, where's the proctor person? Because I'm done. And then she comes walking around the corner. She was already in the room helping somebody else, I guess. And so she comes over, she smiles at me, and I don't know. When I was done, they did another palm scan, checked my ID, made sure I was the right person. They gave me a little brief outro saying that within 2 hours after you finish the exam, you should get some notes from Pearson saying like what you should expect now that you've taken the exam. And I had already read that stuff because I found it online on their website. And yeah, so I was done. I felt like I had failed. I can tell you this right now, I did not think that I was going to be one of those people that went into the exam and came out feeling like they failed. I thought I was going to go in and get 75 questions and be done and feel pretty good about it. But I went in and I only got 9 select all and apply questions. That like kind of freaked me out a little bit, because 2 of my other friends who had taken it had gotten like 20 to 30. And I was not feeling too hot. I wanted to cry. I know a lot of people say they cry when they're done, but I was like, I'm not gonna cry. I'm just going to accept this how it is. So let's talk about noise in the room. So basically you're gonna be in your own little bubble. I accepted the little noise canceling earplugs that they gave me, and I put those in promptly. And then you're sitting in this desk, and there are these big panels on either side of you, so if you look to the left or to the right, you can't see anything. You can see what's in front of you, and then to see behind you, you have to turn all the way around. It was like I was sitting in this little bubble. I could more feel like the footsteps of the people walking around than actually hear them walking around. The proctors do talk very quietly to you when you're in the room. They say like, okay, you're all set, here you go. If you guys are going to go take your NCLEX, Try not to be too scared, try just to relax. It's super hard, it's super difficult, and when you come out and you feel like you failed, it's very possible you didn't, because according to, what was it, according to somewhere, I believe it said 86% of people who take the NCLEX here in the US pass their first try, and you, like, chances are, like, percentage-wise, you're probably going to be one of those people, and you can do it. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comment section below. Give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you guys haven't already for more nursing videos and more new grad videos coming up. Bye, everybody!